Okay, so a thought occurred to me. And so the subject of this is the thought that how much confidence, how much trust, how much community uh, do you have uh, amongst your amongst your culture, amongst your peers, your people um, in the West, in the United States, the West, Europe, whatever you want to term it. How much trust do you have in them? Is is everybody greedy? Is everybody a liar? Uh, is everybody an ideological fool? Is everybody uh, untrustworthy? Is everybody a show for something? Because all of that tells me one thing: is that there is no trust in your fellow Westerners, in your fellow citizens. When you can buy this nonsense that oh, there's shows for China, oh, there's shows for Russia, or there's shows for this, or there's shows for that. That tells me that you have no faith, no respect. When you can be easily led like some like some domesticated animal with a nose ring that or like horses with the bit, and you. So the question I want you to ask is, can I take the word of people over the destructive partisan and divide and conquer narrative? There's a lot of people in China, okay, from the West and from elsewhere around the world, who actually live in China, work in China, or retired in China, have made a life in China, okay, who actually have traveled a great amount of China, and have spoken on their travels, on what they experience, and so on and so forth. Matt from Gio Nason, Guilo 60, whose name is Kirk. He's Canadian. Matt is an American. Then there's Jason Lightfoot, living in China. He's British. Then there's oh God, I can't think of her name. Nico, yeah. There's Nico, and then there's the Mexicanos in China, and then there's you know some people from India who live and experience in China. There's people from Russia. There's people from all over the world, and they do videos. And then there's, of course, the actual Chinese who live in China, who are real journalists, like Jing Li. When she does videos speaking about China. Then there's reports on China. God, I can't think of the young man's name, but he's from New Zealand, and he works in China. There's far more. Oh, and there's of course there's what's Nathan Rich. He lives in China. He works in China, and these people, cover a lot lot of the nonsense, which is spewed out, and they, and they speak to it, and yet, for instance, Jason Lightfoot, he did a video. The BBC took it, and the video had the background of the trees and other vegetation, and they graded out using using that thing. You can alter and edit things, and they graded out, and they put it out, and Jason and others caught wind of it. Oh, and there's the Barretts, father and son from the UK. So it's like, the BBC has gone after them, and other Western sources have gone after them, just like Jason. Like, are they all shills? And there are literally hundreds. Are they all shills? Are they all being paid by the CPC? It's like, and they're speaking. A lot of them just started out doing videos, just covering their life and travels and experiences. And and they felt they need to be responsible and to push back on all the racist tropes and narratives, negative narratives, and so on and so forth, because that's not the experience they were seeing. Nathan Rich, he spends a lot of time actually deeply researching all this stuff, so that he can debunk it. Because that's not the experience he sees. Nor the Barretts, nor Guaylo 60, nor Matt from Jayo Nation, or Nico. Jason Lightfoot, the Barretts, and then there's the Mexicanas, there's just so many. So what does that say about Westerners? Who, even the ones that understand the dynamics of what imperialism and capitalism does, about the lies and propaganda that's spewed. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Jimmy Dore, he covers a lot of this, and he's fairly critical thinking. Yet he tends to sometimes, I don't know, I can't understand it. He covered that whole thing, with Fauci, the whole Fauci, and the NIH, or NIS, or whatever it is, paying Wuhan laboratories for that. Oh crap! I can't think of the term used, but basically, artificially engineering. For the COVID, and making it more virulent, and so it's, and yet, if he actually looked into it, and I put in comments about that, about how there was an actual American or West, I think it was an American virologist, biologist who worked in Wuhan labs, right? And yes, they were looking into COVID, but it wasn't to do that, bioengineering. And so but that's so did the CDC. CDC had that, but they were there's strong indication that uh, the both military and universities and colleges or no, not university, uh, a biotechnology company, like in South Carolina. I forget the name of it, but then there's that U.S. Army base in Maryland, you know, which is connected to the Aberdeen, proving grounds, who was actually doing that. That's a U.S. Army bioweapons lab. So but now because he sees it, and because of that whole thing, and as I said, it's already been that whole thing about the Wuhan lab. It's already been debunked. But yet, and he knows that they plant stories. And now, he covers this whole thing about the monkeypox and how, again, Wuhan. And it's like, see, I don't understand how you can keep when you talk about it, and when you talk about it and you show how it's done, and so on and so forth, and you push back on it and debunk it, and that you take you run with it. Okay, it's like the monkeypox. Now it's monkeypox in Wuhan laboratories, and how it's like, come on, seriously. So I like Jimmy, I really do, but it's like he has a I don't know what it is. He's either got blind. It's like the unbelievable amount of trash, and it's deadly trash that they're putting out, and yet even Jimmy covers it, rather than being what he always says, be skeptical, and if Jimmy paid attention, like I even posted on the comments about some of the sources that he can look at. It's like Jimmy should talk to Jing Lee. She's or Jason Lightfoot, or Kirk from Guilo 60, or Matt from Gio Nation, or Nathan Rich, just to name a few. So it's I just don't understand. How do you fall for it when that's one of the topics that you cover, one of the critical topics you cover? How do you fall for it? Why not broaden and actually look at it? Because it's like, just recently I watched a video from Jimmy about how the DHS and basically the security and intelligence, how DHS was collecting cell phone data, cell phone location data, and so on and so forth. And he was reading off from what the ACLU put out, right? But then he, covers some tweets, and and he rightfully made fun of one idiot that said, "Oh, I have nothing to hide," so but then he puts in another one that there's a sensible level, but then he puts out, in that tweet, it's like, yeah, but how horrible Russia is, about that and how China is horrible. It's like, and he doesn't. And if he knew about China, right, and he knew a little bit more about Russia, because I also pay attention to people that do vlogging out of Russia, you know, and so it's like, if he did that, and you know, and he has the context of that, then he wouldn't. Then he would have pushed back and said, you know, hey, yeah, this is good, but you know, nah, this is pushing it. You know, this is that doesn't make that doesn't, because you know, Jimmy always talks about projection. You know, he's made that point about projection, and yet, because he remains ignorant of it, and even when you know, I post on comments on all those videos that, you know, that gloss over these things, it's I you know, and that doesn't mean that he read all of them, but you know, it's like, I want Jimmy to be more proactive about it, you know, and so that he can stay you know, be more consistent. I mean, he's fairly consistent, but I want him to be more consistent. I want him to be informed better, so that he won't. And unfortunately, that he's not the only one that does that. And as I said, Jimmy's a fairly critical thinking guy, but he's not the only one that that does that. You know, this is why RBN, Revolutionary Blackout Network, I think that's what it stands for. But you know, RBN does this. You know, but you know, there's one thing about RBN is that, you know, they grow, they evolve. You know, they don't stay static. They don't. If they get something wrong, they correct it. You know, they try to get more informed. They're open, and so you know, that's one thing about Jimmy that irritates me, is that I don't know. But anyways, you know, this just goes on and on and on. You know, it's like, and even Jimmy has pointed out, you know, like when he had that idiot Matt Stoller on, you know, and how rabidly anti-China he is. You know, spouting off completely unhinged nonsense. You know, and it's like, but Matt will talk about, you know, critical, factual, and honest stuff that's happening domestically. But whenever it comes to China, he goes completely and utterly unhinged. And he's spouting complete nonsense, which he knows is nonsense. So the only thing I can say is that Matt Stoller is probably a fucking racist when it comes to people that look like me. I mean, because, you know, let's face it, Americans and Westerners can't tell the difference between a Chinese and a Korean, or a Filipino, or Vietnamese, or Thailand, or Malaysia. Or, it's like, they can't. You just can't. You know, we're all Chinese. You know. So, you know, and that's not. Yeah, I should correct. There are some people, but you know, it's like those are the ones who've actually had experience. You know, of being, like, say, in Korea or in China or in other places, and they can show. You know, I have a hard time distinguishing, and you know, look at me. But that's part of being conditioned and indoctrinated. And I was adopted when I was 7.5 years old. And let me tell you, I know the conditioning and indoctrination because I've used the narratives. I've used the narratives. I've spouted it out. It wasn't because of malicious or devious intentions, but because of my level of ignorance and the conditioning and indoctrination. You know, and for that I despise the elites, the ruling class, and I despise those who fall for it, and even when things are pointed out and they can't correct it, they won't correct it. They're willfully ignorant. I despise them. I don't. I speak to these things not because I'm, and I talk the way I talk. Some people could accuse me of being nihilistic, or pessimistic to the point of nihilistic. But the thing is I'm not, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be making these videos. I wouldn't be trying to correct. One of the things that I've come to agree with is that too many in the West have this hopium nonsense going on. And that hopium basically says, I've given up. I'm defeated. I made videos about how, I talk to people about how we could possibly do this and do that, and all I hear is they won't let you do it. It's just the way it is. That tells me that you are either just too comfortable, or you are just defeated, and come what may, you just have to, you're just gonna have to live with it. I don't believe in just live with it. I want better for all of us. That's why I make these videos, because I want better. So ask yourself, are you a true community? Are you a true collective? Do you respect and have faith and loyalty? And this doesn't mean that that you need to agree with it, because there are things that are truly despicable that we should not agree with, such as racism, such as people who have amassed wealth through basically criminality disguised as legitimate business, and the nefarious, malicious shit that they want to do. I see that in a black and white term. You're a fucking monster, and you deserve to be extinguished. Yeah. There is such thing as evil. And if you don't stand against evil, then evil perpetuates itself. That's what it comes down to. There are monsters, there are demons, there are devils, and they prey on everything. Everything is prey to them. Prey to make profit, to get control. Those are monstrous acts. U.S. imperialism, U.S. capitalism, and Western imperialism, and Western capitalism is a criminal, predatory, and destructive ideology. And I think I think a growing number of people are starting to get a little glimpse of it. And we don't go around playing by the rules of these predatory monsters and expecting results that are different, that will correct the problem. No, we need to come together. We need to show solidarity, collective solidarity, and we need to make sure they fear us. Right now, too many in the West are either complacent, apathetic, or they're unfair, or a combination of all three. And that is defeatism. That is not progressing. That is not fixing the problem. You don't play by the rules. We need to come together and make them fear us so that they will kowtow to us, that they will bend the knee to us, that they will step out of the way or face violent consequences. Because right now, the state does all the violence. And those that work for the state do all the violence. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's like in Denver, just recently, Denver, like 3 cops opened fire on a freaking crowd of people, right? Because they claimed they saw somebody with a gun. I mean, Jimmy Dole covered it too, and he did it, and he did a really good job. It's like, but that's a story that just keeps repeating and repeating, and that should demonstrate how evil it is. That should push us all to come together and say enough is enough. That should have us all condemning, and condemning in no uncertain terms. But we're not doing that. We bitch about the fuel prices, we bitch about the food prices, we do all this, but it's like we don't actually do anything to prevent it, to stop it, to roll it back. I talk about how we can tackle some of it in videos I posted. I talk about a general strike. That's the quickest way to defund and defang these people. And it's a non-violent way. Direct action, like the Dutch farmers and what's happening in Sweden. It's the same thing. Or what's happening in Sri Lanka, or what's happening in South America and Central America, like in Panama. I don't understand how people can stand around, watch police start shooting, right? Clearly committing a crime. And why the crowd around isn't charging them and beating them down to let them understand, hey, you don't go around and start taking us out with no cause. Why are people standing around? Because if you are a true patriot, one that, because patriotism to me is about protecting the country, which is the people. It doesn't matter what you look like. That's patriotism. It's standing up. We're all soldiers. We're all defenders. We're all. Why are we allowing it to happen? Why are we allowing a few to dictate? Why are we following their rules? When the rules are insane, it doesn't make any sense. Lawfully or otherwise. Well, I'll finish off it there.